Hey guys, Deslater Magic here, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Oh wait, I got confused. No, this is just another overlooked but awesome card. Now this one can't be that overlooked. It's $23, but when I mention this card to people, the overwhelming majority of people say they've never heard of it. Now if you have heard of it, good for you. I guarantee nobody in the comment section cares. But anyway, before I get into what the card is, I have to tell you newer players about a rules change that happened many years ago in Magic the Gathering. There used to be this wonderful thing called mana burn. So basically, if you generated mana and then you crossed into the next phase without using an amount of it, there was something left and it fell out of your mana pool without being used on a spell or ability, you would take 1 damage for each mana that fell out of your pool this way. It's sort of like how electricity works, where without a proper load, it has to go somewhere when the circuit's open, so it's just going to burn out something. Because the electrical energy has to go somewhere. And if it's not going to a light bulb, then it's going to just burn out a capacitor or resistor or something. So within the lore it makes sense, but within the game, it was basically removed because according to the staff, it just felt like an obnoxious accident. It wasn't a side effect of a big giant spell or a big giant ramp up. It was almost always just a mistake made by the player. They accidentally generated too much mana or accidentally crossed into the next phase without using it. And so it just felt like an unnecessary punishment, so they got rid of it. Now your mana just dissipates. Now it's important to understand how mana burn worked because this card's only downside was mana burn. So when they changed the rule in the game, they probably logically should have banned this card, and they didn't. It is currently banned in absolutely nothing. In my opinion, that is an unbelievable oversight. Not even oversight, they clearly know about this card. It's just, I don't know, stubbornness? I don't even know what to call it. This card should be banned. I mean, when did they change the rule about anti? They banned all the anti cards. They didn't just say, oh, well, these are banned by rule now. And they didn't just leave it at, oh, you can't play for anti now. And then all the cards said, if you're playing for anti. No, they went ahead and also banned all the cards. This card should have been banned the second that they changed the rule on mana burn, and it wasn't. And now it's inadvertently easily in the top 10 for the most just intrinsically broken cards in the entire game. So I suspect a lot of you have figured it out, but it's a rare from Cold Snap called Braid of Fire. It's a 2-cost red enchantment, and it simply states cumulative upkeep. Add 1 red mana to your mana pool. So the reminder text is as follows. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. First of all, adding mana to your mana pool is not a payment. Nowhere in the game is that considered a payment, so the card is just written incorrectly. It's that simple. So if you want an example of an actual true and sincere cumulative upkeep card, I would say Brand of Ill Omen. So this is an enchantment aura, and you enchant an opponent's creature, theoretically, and it has cumulative upkeep, 1 red, and then enchanted creature's controller can't cast creature spells. So the next turn after you bring it out, it gets 1 age counter, and then you have to pay 1 red mana, otherwise it gets sacrificed. Then the next turn it goes to 2. You have to pay 2 red mana, or it gets sacrificed. Then the next turn you pay 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and eventually, in theory, you just won't have enough mana to pay for it, and it goes away. So it's like a spell that takes more and more energy to keep going once you've already cast it, which is part of a lot of different video games magic systems. So it's not unheard of, it makes sense, but what about Braid of Fire? That's not a cost, that's a benefit. You get free mana. There's no downside. Oh, wait, this is from Cold Snap. Back then, the downside was, okay, now you've got 1 mana, then you've got 2, then you've got 3, then you've got 4. Eventually, you've got more mana than you can spend, and even if you partially ate it up with a little bit of a spell, you would have some overflow, and then you would take mana burn damage. So this would eventually kill you, but in the meantime, you would have an insane level of ramp. These days, after the rule change, this is just an insane broken card. By rule of the game changing, this is no longer a fair card. It does not do what it was intended. There is no downside, and it should have been banned. That said, is this absolutely dominating and taking over every format, and it urgently needs to be banned because it's dominating everything? No. But it is $23, and just in principle, it should have been banned. So let's say you're playing Commander, and you throw this out pretty early in the game. You just about have limitless mana. I mean, can you imagine a red-green deck with a lot of ramp and then a lot of X spells in it? I mean, you could like Heat Ray or Banefire anything in your way. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory once you get why this card exists and why it's unbelievably expensive and powerful, and they're probably never going to reprint it because in the modern rules, and by modern I mean anything from this century, it doesn't work, and by that I mean it works too well. It's too good. Now, it is very slow. It's almost on par with like a Saga, except that those end at some point. And there are actually mana ramp cards somewhat similar to this, but they almost always cost mana and involve charge counters or something like that, or some sort of event happening. This is 100% free, you don't have to do anything. But that said, it does only generate red mana, so I mean, it is a little bit limited, it's a little bit slow, but it's insanely good. And since they haven't banned it in the last, 20 years, I'd say it's a pretty safe investment. Since it's not exactly on the short list for getting reprinted, it's not terrifically likely in anything that would involve a draftable set, and its sheer power level, this is only going to go up in price. Just saying. I can't guarantee anything, I'm just saying this is a very interesting scenario. But maybe they might think it is an appropriate power level and it's in the next draft set, Conspiracy 3 or 4 or whatever we're on. You never know, but I would snap up your copy as soon as possible if this card looks interesting to you. Hopefully you guys can do some massive damage with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.